In this video, I want to provide an overview of disclosure mechanics rules. So basically, a disclosure mechanics rule is a specification for a disclosure. Okay, it explains what the disclosure needs to look like. Okay, it's also a means for verifying that a disclosure was created consistent with that specification. So imagine having to create disclosures but not having a specification for what the disclosures need to be. Okay, so that makes it hard. But imagine having a specification for what a disclosure needs to look like, plus you could verify that the disclosure has been created correctly by using that specification. So there's a third thing that a disclosure mechanics rule does. It's a means for a regulator, an investor, a data aggregator, or other party to extract information from a disclosure that was created consistent with that specification. So when I say specification, it's a human-readable and machine-readable specification. Today, these specifications are in books. They're intermingled with other rules like measurement rules and other rules that have nothing to do with the creation of a report. And again, I'll point out that this one specification has three functions. It's describing what the disclosure is supposed to be, verifying that the report or the disclosure was created consistent with that description, and then using that description to pull and extract information from a report. That's pretty slick. So again, it's a specification. It's basically a declarative rule, or declarative rules. It's a set of declarative rules, and it's represented using the XBRL definition relations. So what I did is I defined some arc roles, and basically I can create this in XBRL. So here's what those rules look like. So this is a XBRL definition relations for three disclosures, the rules for that disclosure, and these are the arc roles that are used. Okay, so balance sheet, changes in equity, comprehensive income. So you notice that the rules are not that comprehensive because for this small sample, this is the FASB's SFAC 6 elements of financial statements. It's very small, and you don't need a whole lot in order to distinguish a balance sheet from a changes in equity or that from statement of comprehensive income. Okay, so you have the actual model structure of the report. This is on the left. Here's the report on the right. So you can kind of see that you look for balance sheets. You look for assets on the balance sheet, and that's the only one that has assets. You look for comprehensive income on the statement of comprehensive income. This also has comprehensive income, but it's not the total. And here you look for equity. That's equity. It has the total. This is equity. It's not a total. This is a roll forward. This is just an arithmetic computation. But anyway, you can distinguish this stuff more than you might think. So you then create a report and then verify the report. So this is what the result you get. It found each of the disclosures, and the disclosure is consistent with the specification. So here's that rule that was used to find the disclosure and determine if it was consistent. And here's the line of reasoning that was used by the rule, or by the algorithm that used the rule to reach this conclusion. And everything is documented so you know what the application did, so you can follow and see why it did find it or why it did not find it. And just the same thing for all three of the disclosures. Now, something worth pointing out is that in my example, I have unique hypercube names. I could have only used this to find the disclosure. But I also wanted to make sure that it was created correctly. So I have additional rules. So you can do the same thing without the hypercube. So this is exactly the same set of rules. This previous set just simply uses one more piece of information. This has one less piece of information per rule. So you're probably thinking, well, those are pretty simple rules. Like, well, here's a US GAAP taxonomy rule. So this is actually complex. Part of it is because I think that the taxonomy is not created as crisply as it could. So you can overcome that lack of crispness by adding things to the rules. But this actually works for 7,000 or so public companies. It has more information than I'm using in this example. I have text block information, or the level 3 text block, the policy, and the level 1 text block. They're all being used. And then here is the line of reasoning that was used for the US GAAP disclosure. And it was consistent. It was found. And, I showed you a simple example, but it works for a little bit bigger examples, and 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 big reports also. This is half the size of a SEC filing, typical SEC filing. So I'm showing you this with a simple example in order to make the explanation simple, but it's exactly the same dynamics are going on. I just have more information, model patterns, more disclosures, different totals, different information I'm looking for, but it works basically the same. So here you can see two specific examples, and they're different. So here they both have the same total concept here, and these are the same, but the line items are different. Okay, so but I can still find the disclosure because they're both roll-ups. They both have the same total, and they both have some of these concepts that has that one, or it doesn't say it has to have, but it could contain this concept. It might contain that concept, but anyway, this works. And then again, there's the line of reasoning, but that's what a disclosure mechanics rule is. It's basically part of a reporting checklist. Watch that video, which is not there yet, but it will be coming very shortly.